Hey folks, Real Honesty with Jarmithlin. I'm Jarmithlin, and this is part 2 of where I rank the women's WrestleMania matches from worst to best. And I covered a lot of shit in the first one. I started to get slightly more positive as we got towards the very end of that video. But that was really to get the crap out of the way. And that's not, besides Sable and a couple others, that's not necessarily to knock the women in the ring, but the way the matches were put together and the way the matches were, it really wasn't all that good. But this is where the stuff's going to start to get better. And I want to say I'm recording this way early. I'm recording this like February 23rd. I've recorded like 4 videos today. And the reason is because I got a busy time coming up here. So whenever this goes up, I hope you guys will watch the first part, and I hope you guys enjoy the second part. We're on the road to WrestleMania, so it's about time to get these WrestleMania themed shows out of the way. So anyway, here we go with number 12, AJ Lee and Paige versus the Bellas of Mania 31. Not necessarily the best match. Decent enough. I rank it this high. It was a very basic match. AJ Lee and Paige teaming up and getting to have that final moment, that was cool. It was AJ Lee's last match, unfortunately. His WWE were pricks and drove her out of the company. And yeah, I'm going to blame Stephanie, and I'm going to blame various others for driving her out of the company. She wanted to leave. It was a toxic environment, unfortunately, even though her dream was to be in WWE. She's better now. Her and CM Punk seem happy together, and that's fantastic. I would like to see AJ Lee back in the company, but I'm not going to, cry about it because she's not. It's just unfortunate. And her and Paige versus the Bellas, and the big problem with Nikki Bella's title reign was matches like this, where, look, she isn't the only champion to be booked in a tag match instead of defending her title at the show of shows. But it just wasn't, this wasn't very good booking. It wasn't. It's like, sure, AJ Lee and Paige got to have their moment, and it wasn't necessarily Nikki's fault. She had a lot of injuries, especially with her neck, and they extended the title reign just to get it to where she passed AJ Lee's record, which was a dick move. I'm not surprised by the company doing this, but it was a dick move. But it didn't help Nikki at all. Her title reign's remembered as one of the worst of all time, and partly remembered as one of the worst booked of all time. When you don't defend your title that often, that's going to be seen as something bad. And that's, again, as much uncreative as it is on just Nikki not being a very believable champion. That's just my take on it. But it was a decent enough tag match. Not great, but, not terrible. And now we move on to Beth and Melina versus Ashley and Maria Menounos. Playboy Bunny Mania Lumberjill match at Mania 24. Maria Menounos tried. I'm not the biggest fan of celebrities in a wrestling ring, but Maria Menounos tried. She loved wrestling. She worked hard at it. And she tried to do her best to make her time in the ring matter. And of course, when Maria Menounos is the better worker of the team, that's not good. And I'm not knocking Beth or Melina. I'm talking her partner. Ashley Mazzaro was not very good in the ring. Not at all. And Maria showed some good hops. She did well. She was obviously taken care of, but she respected the wrestling business. So I loathe a lot of Lumberjill matches, and I did rank the one with Ashley and Melina pretty low for Mania 23. But this one was inoffensive. I'm, again, not the biggest fan of celebrities being in the ring, but at least Maria Menounos did well. Wasn't that bad. And yeah, Ashley Mazzaro, this is about the highest she's going to get ranked. Yeah, she's not, I don't think she's a shit person. She just shouldn't have been in a wrestling ring. She just wasn't any good. Should have been a valet. Should have been a manager. Something like that. But anyway, now we move on to number 10. Alundra Blaze versus Lalani Kai. I can talk. From Mania 10. This was the sole women's match that took place from I think WrestleMania 2 was the last time one took place. And then you had this one. That's pretty ridiculous. And then there wasn't even another women's title match until WrestleMania 15. How sad is that? But yeah, it was ridiculous. It was ridiculous that this was the only match. It was a throwaway match. Lalani Kai is certainly not a bad worker. Alundra Blaze and her had a good match for what they could, but it was only a few minutes. Alundra Blaze won, obviously, duh. That's what should have happened. But it was very, very short, and it was fine. It was a fine match. I mean, given the short time limit, but things will start to get a little bit better from this moment on. Because Lilani Kai makes another appearance in the next match. It's Wendy Richter versus Lilani Kai at Mania 1. Cyndi Lauper led Wendy Richter to the ring. Some good stuff. Not a great match, but certainly not a bad match. It was nice to see the women get featured here on a big grand stage. And, Wendy Richter and Cyndi Lauper, that was a pretty good match made in heaven, especially for that early in wrestling. Best match, no, but certainly a step in the right direction. Because then we go to number 8, and Maria Menounos makes another appearance. And this is the highest that Kelly Kelly got ranked. It was Kelly Kelly, Maria Menounos versus Beth Phoenix and Eve at Mania 28. I loathe putting Kelly Kelly in a match ranked this high because I didn't like her in the ring. I don't hate Kelly Kelly's person. She just wasn't any good in the ring. But Maria Menounos also, everybody had to take care of her in this because she apparently had 2 cracked ribs. And she was favoring them, but she got up and did those moves and worked really hard, and Beth and Eve took care of her. And that's great. And no, it was a throwaway match, but it wasn't a bad match. Really wasn't. And maybe I'm just being a little bit biased here, but I'm giving a little bit of a nod to Maria Menounos for working through those injuries. A lot of wrestlers work through injuries. As a celebrity, she didn't have to. She could have bowed out if she wanted. But she wanted to do the right thing because she loves the business. So, okay. This is, again, right about where, stuff's getting ranked, like kind of, not haphazardly, but there haven't been a ton of great classic women's matches at Mania. So now we're getting into the meat and potatoes of this stuff because we're getting to the top 7 where things are going to get better. Victoria versus Molly Holly at Mania 20. Victoria's title, I think, what was it? Like, Victoria had a title. I think it was Victoria's title versus Molly's hair or something like that. Maybe Molly was champion. I don't quite remember who was champion. Sorry, because women's title picture was a little bit muddy. I remember Molly put her hair on the line. And then Victoria and her had a decent match. Not great, but a decent match. For 2 really underrated workers, Victoria's especially underrated. So is Molly. Molly was fantastic in the ring and did not deserve to be endlessly mocked for her appearance like she was. For being wholesome and all that stuff. Victoria did get the win, and then, of course, you had Molly Holly get knocked out, and she got her head shaved and this kind of stuff, and that was good. And Molly Holly's all about business, and she looked good with short hair, I thought. But mainly, it was just nice to see this moment and the women get at least featured on the card. I mean, it was certainly better than the other Mania 20 match, the Playboy evening gown match, because Sable was in it, and Sable's fucking atrocious in the ring. But Victoria and Molly Holly did women's wrestling proper on this. Again, not great, but certainly compared to the other matches I mentioned, a very good step in the right direction. A few steps in the right direction, actually. Then we go to number 6, Chyna versus Ivory at Mania 17. Okay. Chyna wasn't that good in the ring. I said it. She wasn't. She broke a lot of barriers for women, though. I will give her that much. This was... Chyna beat Ivory easily. They had this whole thing where Chyna had a neck injury, and I don't know how legit the neck injury was. It seemed like it was just played into a storyline. I don't know how legit it was. But Ivory was in her right to censor phase. She had been champion for a few months. Had beaten Chyna at the Royal Rumble 2001 because Chyna had re-aggravated her neck injury. And then, of course, re-aggravated here just briefly. And Ivory's trying to beat her down, but then Chyna, of course, rises up, uses strength, brute strength, and pretty much just squashes Molly after that. So it was a cool moment seeing Chyna capture the title. I would argue that Victoria versus Molly Holly was a much better worked match, and I'm pretty much putting this on here because of the title change and the fact that it was just a complete squash. So it wasn't a great match. But it was nice that... the women's title kind of made, its comeback here. This is pretty much the comeback of, like, the women's title. Where, Chyna ended up leaving with the title instead of losing it to Lita. And for their own reason, I'm not going to get into that stuff, but the women's title didn't get brought back for another 6 months. But at least his winning was a pretty good moment, and it was nice to see Ivory get a big moment also, since Ivory is pretty much at the end of her in-ring career by this point. And number 5, Trish versus Lita versus Jazz at Mania 18. This was one of the unfortunate placed ones because it was placed awkwardly on the card, but still, all 3 women did really well. You had Trish, of course, with the best-looking Canadian Maple Leaf that I've seen in my life. It was on her ass. It was a really nice, display on her tights. Lita looked good. Jazz was there. Jazz was tough. The problem is Jazz was also made of glass because she got injured often. It was a good match. It was a really good match. There would be a better 3-way match involving 2 of these women a little bit later. But kudos to these women for getting out there and being able to go. And yeah, they probably had to cram a lot of spots into a very short time. But they were allowed to get out there and do a little storytelling. Not a lot of storytelling, but you had Trish and Lita kind of getting their, feud going a little bit. Trish and Jazz had their feud. And would continue to have their feud into the future for a little bit. But it was good stuff. It was good stuff for what it was. And number 4, Nia versus Bayley versus Charlotte versus Sasha at Mania 33. This probably would have been ranked number 2, except it felt a little flat. 1, Bayley should have walked out of here as champion after beating Charlotte. But they pulled the trigger too soon and had her lose they had Charlotte lose on Off Raw right before Fastlane, which was stupid. It was really stupid. That was really, really stupid because it undercut everything. But it was a good mix, and it was an elimination match. I mean, of course, Bayley ended up getting the win, as Bayley should have gotten the win, but it just took away a lot of the momentum. The crowd would have popped huge if Bayley had finally won the title at Mania and then lost it to Alexa Bliss at Payback just a little bit later. But still, Bayley would have gotten that big moment of winning the title. I won the title at WrestleMania. Now they undercut all that, and it was ridiculous. In fact, I thought of making a 10 worst booking decisions WWE did with the women's division, but there's no way I could do 10. I would have to do 20. But it was a good match. It was enjoyable, and each woman played their part proper. So that's why it's ranked here at number 4. And number 3, Trish versus Victoria versus Jazz at Mania 19. One of my favorite WrestleManias of all time. Yes, in Seattle. No, I did not get a chance to go, even though I'm only about 35 miles from Seattle. Unfortunately, didn't have the funds, got in a car accident right around the time tickets went on sale. So even if I had the money, I had to spend the money to get a new car. So anyway, enough of that. That car lasted me about 12 years. But this was really, really good stuff. This is when Victoria was champion. Trish and Victoria had this great feud and everything. Jazz was there. Jazz, by this point, was pretty much an afterthought. I mean, all due respect to Jazz, who worked hard in wrestling. But this is mainly about Trish and Victoria. They just threw another woman in there kind of as a way to get that good aspect going. Stevie Richards, of course, making a mockery of himself. Well, creative having to make a mockery of himself, rather. By using a chair and bouncing out the ropes and hitting himself in the head. I mean, a lot of wrestlers have done that shit. But Trish, of course, managing to get the victory, win the title. Good stuff. Her and Victoria, of course, would continue to have matches in the later part of 2003. Apologies for my voice. Still getting over the flu. This is good stuff, though. Good stuff. Trish pinning Victoria and them continuing to have matches after this. It was really enjoyable. Good match. Now we move to number 2, Mickie versus Trish at Mania 22. And this was great. This was a fabulous match. I wish this had gotten a few more minutes than it shouldn't have been. And by the way, I forgot to mention something in the worst. Candice Michelle and Tori Wilson in a Playboy pillow fight. Because fuck you, wrestling. That was the co-main event. That match was put on there right before Triple H versus John Cena. How fucking terrible was that? And this is not knocking against Candice Michelle or Tori Wilson. It was a fucking terrible idea to put that on there. I totally forgot to put that match on there because I didn't consider it a fucking match because it was a fucking atrocious mess. Again, not knocking the women. Tori Wilson versus Candice Michelle should have not been featured in a match at Mania. At least not in a Playboy pillow fight or in a pillow fight or whatever. It was rotten. It was rotten is what it was. But back to Mickie and Trish. That was a great match. Chicago was really on fire for Mickie. They were really happy to see Mickie, as anybody would be. Mickie's a beautiful woman and incredibly talented. Trish was getting booed. And the crowd was just like, let's go Mickie, let's go Mickie. It's not even so much that they hated Trish, they just loved Mickie. And let's go Mickie and all that stuff. And they were cheering that and cheering their hearts out and doing really well. And it was great stuff. And I really enjoyed, of course, they added some of the stuff like Mickie grabbing Trish's stratosphere and then licking her fingers. Grabbing on her tights, not actually reaching down her tights. That would have been interesting wrestling. It would have been, a way to snatch up interest. That's right. I said it. Not apologizing for that. But Trish and Mickie cut a really good pace here, and Mickie winning the title was really tremendous. Tremendous moment. Crowd popped huge. I certainly had no complaints. Yeah, there were a couple botches, but whatever. You're going to have botches in almost any match. So I'm not going to knock the women for that. And with the electric atmosphere and the way these women went out there and had such a great match, how could I not rank it at number 2? But number one, sweet Jesus, number 1, Becky versus Sasha versus Charlotte at Mania 32 to crown the new women's champion. The Divas Championship is over. Now it's the Women's Championship that Charlotte had held since Night of Champions 2015, by the way, I want to clarify. I would have had Becky win. That's just me personally. I get why they had Charlotte win, and don't get me wrong, I'm not opposed to it. But I would have preferred Becky winning. But this is when all the women were allowed to go out there and cut such a great pace. It was probably... Actually, you know what? No, it was the best match on the Mania card. It was. It was the best match on the Mania card. It was. Yeah, the ladder match had a bunch of spots and everything. It had some good storytelling, but I will argue that this match for pure wrestling was better. It was really good stuff. Enjoyable. All these ladies did fantastic. Charlotte getting the win. Of course, Rick interfering. I had no complaints, even though I wanted Becky to win, because I got why Charlotte won. And she continued her run, where she got to about 10 months as champion before she suddenly lost it. It was great stuff, and these women went out there and tore it up, and it was great. It was great stuff, and they were put on a big stage, the biggest at WrestleMania, and also in front of the biggest crowd that a WrestleMania had ever had. And my God, they delivered. These women delivered. Hats off to them. I don't wear a hat. The Derb does, but he's not here. But I don't wear a hat, so I don't know why I said that. But those are the matches that I feel, those are all the women's matches that I wanted to talk about. And yeah, okay, so I'm sorry I forgot about the pillow fight earlier. That is not taking away from any of these good matches, good to great matches that I talked about. So what do you guys think? You guys agree with my rankings? Are there any matches that you thought that I should have placed somewhere else? Let me know in the comments. Like, share, subscribe also. It's been Real Honesty with John Ritlin. I'm John Ritlin, and I will see you soon.